They're Trump protests. And all the shit that's going on. And according to a poll, they've been doing this poll for 48 years, 14% of Americans are happy right now. The previous record low was 31%. It's the lowest it's ever been since they started doing the survey. And I don't know. I just think that Trump is, I mean, he's a bunch of other things, but mostly he's incompetent. Or he's unlucky because he's been hit with more shit. And I don't know, why do we want an unlucky president? Clinton was lucky. Clinton had a fairly uneventful 8 years, except for the trouble he got himself into with his own dick. And then George W. Bush was unlucky. As soon as he becomes president, we have 9/11. And then towards the end of his presidency, we have the real estate Lehman Brothers, huge crash, biggest crash since the Great Depression. Presidents are lucky or unlucky, but it devolves onto them. They have to deal with what comes to them, and Trump is a combination of incompetent and unlucky.
All right. So for the past 4 months, what you've been trying to do is something a reasonable person won't accept.
Okay?
I don't know, don't interrupt me. I don't know if you really believe this or if you're just lying. Okay? Now, the difference between you and me that I've been trying to get across is that a Republican doesn't have to lie to win the argument. I can go with the facts, okay? But you're trying to convince people, maybe because you believe it, and if you believe it, then it's not a lie. But I don't think a reasonable person that is objective is going to say that the pandemic is Trump's fault. Okay?
Let me just say,
no. You said you wouldn't interrupt me.
Okay, but I'm just saying, just so you're clear, I believe it.
Okay. Now, let me go on to say this. From a very objective standpoint, don't interrupt me. Over the past 4 months, I have told you that the smartest thing Trump did was to immediately ban travel from China and from Italy and Spain. And he quarantined the country, and at the same time, your people called him a racist and a xenophobe. Biden, the guy that you're going to vote for, said he would not close the borders, that he would leave the borders open to China, and that presumably they would have sent thousands of people over here, and our rate of infection would have skyrocketed. Now, you've had this brilliant counter-argument. You keep saying, but Biden wasn't president. Trump is. So I can still blame Trump. But you see, a logical person that is objective will say, well, on the one hand, I had Biden, who was going to keep the border open, which would have led to thousands of Chinese coming here and spreading the virus. And I have, on the other hand, Trump, who closed the border, which was the biggest
because
single...
40,000 people still came into America from China.
And because your media lies to you, I had to look that up, and I still remember it's such a deceitful thing, because those people were either married to American citizens or they were people that were Americans
coming back from China.
Yeah, and they had to be quarantined for 14 days.
Okay.
And it was not the purview of the American president to tell American citizens, you have to stay in China and die. But your media doesn't point that out to you, so now you repeat it to me. So it's a web of confusion and deceit that I have to deal with. The single most important decision that the president, the two candidates made, was to stop immigration from China and Europe. That and Trump made the right decision and Biden made the wrong decision. Now that's the first thing. The second thing that I've been trying to convince you of is that Trump has presented a treatment, hydroxychloroquine, and you won't take it because you're a Democrat. Democrats don't take hydroxychloroquine. He has an antibody, this new antibody plasma, which he's developed.
Oh, yeah, we should talk about that because it got retracted.
Got retracted. Okay. Well, the point I'm trying to make is that he's been recommending hydroxychloroquine, but you won't take it. There's also a new treatment.
That's not true. That's not fucking true. You know.
Well, the point I'm trying to make is that if you would take it under the right circumstances, then you can't say that this man is incompetent because he's recommending a treatment that you yourself would take.
He is incompetent because if it could be shown to me that hydroxychloroquine would work in my situation,
okay. Well, he can't.
There was just
wait. I want to announce something else.
One more huge trial of it. This time they had 13,000 people on one side and 15,000 on the other, either being given it or not being given it, along with azithromycin. I know zinc is in there, and they showed it had no fucking benefit. There are a gazillion studies.
I want to see the study. When was this study done?
All right, so you want to break and let's take a break.
But before we break, I want to say this because I've been saving this all week.
Okay.
There's another treatment called ivermectin. It's spelled IVERMECTIN. And it's similar to hydroxychloroquine, and they say it works even better. But Democrats won't take it. So there are treatments available, and I'm going to go with the argument that a reasonable person will not blame the president for a disease that came in any more than they would blame Obama for cancer. It's just not a reasonable person.
I blame the way he dealt with it for us having one of the highest, for us having nearly double the number of deaths of any other country. Brazil is.
Wait, that's also a deceptive argument. Now,
I know
this is a very good one.
Population.
No, this is an excellent point. I want to show people how Democrats have to deceive you. Rick is a mathematician, so he knows he's lying. To win the argument, Rick. No, let me explain how you're lying, Rick. We have 330 million people. If you combine the population of Italy, Spain, France, Germany, and Britain, they would have a similar number of. Well, we'd have to go over every
European
population.
Country has about 60 million, just to.
Look. Let's not quibble over the math. I'm going to make a broad point. We can go over the math later if you wish. But if you were to combine an equal number of European countries and come up with a population similar to our own, you would find that our rate of death is in the middle. It's not the highest. It's not the lowest. And that actually they have higher rates. They have higher rates.
We had the
they have higher.
2 weeks ago, we had the 8th highest per capita death rate of any country with a population over 100,000. Since then, some shitty country, I think, overtook us, so I think we're probably now in 9th place. But there are fucking 200 countries in the world, so being the 9th worst is no badge of honor.
Well, my point is that if you compare us with other countries like Europe, which are similar, they have a similar amount of travel, they have a similar kind of population. In other words, you can't compare the United States to New Zealand, which is an island that
I
that
do
shut
on
itself
Twitter, and
off.
that I agree that's not fair. But
So what I'm saying is that the U.S. actually has a lower death rate, a lower number of deaths than an equal number of European countries.
no, that's not true.
No, all right. You want to go over it then? They've lost 40,000. They've lost 40,000 people or more in Britain alone. They've lost. I think they lost 50,000. France has lost 35,000 if they've
Yeah.
lost any.
I don't know about
Germany,
Britain having 40, but I
Italy,
believe that
Italy,
Because
and
Britain is run by an idiot too. Britain is run by Boris Johnson, and for a long time they didn't do jack shit either. Britain is
okay,
now you think
Rick,
that Britain is
it
the
doesn't
fucking
it
cradle
doesn't
of
matter.
fucking Brit. You'd think that Britain would be a sophisticated country, but their government at this point in time turns out to be super fucking shitty. So they fucked it up. Britain fucked it up. Sweden fucked it up.
Uh-huh.
France and Italy fucked it up early, but also they got hit so early that they didn't know what they were dealing with, and they've since done
So
much
there's
better.
an excuse. There's a good reason why the communist governments did badly, but when a
Communist
conservative government does bad, yeah, those are socialist countries that you're extolling.
well,
You
they
like
had a bad couple months at the beginning, and they lost
uh
a shitload of people, and they've
Germany
done
is
pretty
run by a
well
Ger,
since. We took our 2 months
Germany
of lead
Germany is
time
run
and
by a
squandered.
socialist.
What?
Germany is run by a former communist. So you're on the side of the former communist. You like
I
that.
don't know.
You like Angela Merkel.
Look at Germany's GDP. Germany's a rich ass country. So
Well,
yeah,
one of the reasons they're rich is because they don't spend any money on their military. We're defending them.
all right. Well, are we going to take a break and we're going to look up what are we fucking looking up? Oh,
I don't remember.
hydroxychloroquine. This big new study that shows.
I want to see the new study, but wait, I want to show you. Let's go over the numbers right now. What I'm trying to find is the reason I'm not paying attention is that you don't believe me that if you combined an equal
No, I
population
believe
of
you, but you got
Europeans, that their death rate would be worse than the United States. You don't believe that,
I
and
just
now
said, look, I
I'm
just
trying to get.
said, I'm aware of some of your statistics where we're in 8th or 9th place in the world, and some of the countries that are worse than ours, like Britain, might outrank us. Um, Brazil might have overtaken us. Brazil is run by a fucking idiot. Um, uh, Sweden went for herd immunity stupidly, and they outrank us in per
I don't
capita
think
death.
they're stupid at all. I think they did just fine.
No, they've admitted they fucked up.
No,
Sweden,
I don't know. I don't know that the Swedes admitted that. I
yeah, they
think
did. You
they
want me to
lost.
look that shit up too?
No, my point is I don't care if you found a Swedish person that thinks they fucked up. I think they did very well.
They didn't. They had so many. They had 7 times as many deaths per capita as like Norway and Finland and their other like
Yeah,
their
but
Denmark.
there's a reason for that.
Yeah,
The
they
Swedes.
didn't practice good fucking hygiene.
Okay, could you please listen to me?
Yeah.
The Swedish control over their the places where their elderly stay was poor, but
Yeah, they
their
decided they
attempt
weren't
to
going to do anything to protect people. They just decided we're going to let it play out. We're not going to protect. They made a lot of. They thought if they just let everybody become infected, that some people would die, but everybody would quickly become immune, and their
well
economy would suffer.
this yeah, but the problem is that what happened in Sweden was that they got more deaths than Norway and Finland, but they ended up getting a lot less deaths than countries around them, like Belgium.
No,
And
they're they're
are
they're
you,
straight up comparable to Belgium.
no, they're not.
Belgium has
No,
like
they're not.
800 deaths per million, and
I'm
Sweden
trying
is
to
like
find.
in the
Okay, here's what's
600s,
happening.
right?
I'm trying to get worldometer countries, and it's not.
I
And
think
okay, so I can't look
Belgium is
that up.
super high. Belgium is outranks us. Belgium is close to being #1 in the world. I don't know what the fuck happened in Belgium, but
Well,
Belgium
the
has,
point I'm trying to make is the Swedish plan, which was to have herd immunity, and lead normal lives, worked out very well for them. They
it,
lost about, I believe they lost about 5,000 people just on memory because I can't find the graph. It's not
it's up over 6,000 now. I
okay,
haven't looked at it
but my
recently,
point
and
is
that
that and
their economy still dropped. Their stock market still dropped by 21.5%.
they're
So they
still
didn't
their
save
economy
anybody's
is fine.
economy.
Their economy is fine. They're as a country with 10 million people in it. They
They
lost
killed a bunch of people unnecessarily.
no,
Now,
what they did, wait a minute. They have 10 million people. They did not take good care of their elderly. And because of that, they lost about 5,000, maybe 6,000 people. But you don't, to me, you would not shut a country down with 10 million people because of the possibility of deaths of 5,000. You wouldn't
well,
do
then
that.
that's you, and you're a cruel motherfucker because all
No,
these other
no, actually,
countries
I'm not,
surrounding it,
Rick,
Poland,
because
Denmark, all these countries practiced reasonable shit. They locked it down. They lost 1/7. They have a rate of 1/7 as much as all these other countries with a combined population of 60 million lost fewer people than Sweden did with its population of 10 million.
well,
And they did, and
there
their
might be
economies
other.
didn't suffer any more than Sweden's economy. And
Okay,
people in the
there.
Swedish government admit they fucked it up.
I don't care what the people in the Swedish government say. I'm telling you that a normal country during a pandemic, a flu-type pandemic, if they have 10 million people in their country, they don't shut it down to save 5,000 lives. That's just life, Rick. And
No,
if they had
then
taken
you're an
better,
asshole because you're letting all these people die for no good reason. Because all these other
no,
countries suffered no
no,
greater inconvenience than Sweden, and they managed to practice reasonable masking and some limited locking down, and they got it under control. And countries with a total population, as I just said, 60 million, lose fewer people than Sweden with 10 million.
all right, Rick, I've been waiting this whole time. Can you stop the show so I can look up the actual numbers for people? Just stop the show.
All
I'm
right,
trying to
stop it.
find the
I'm going to
actual
go look
numbers.
up that hydroxy thing.
Okay.
Okay, you
All
looked
right.
up some, I looked up
So,
some.
all right. So here are the two things that I found, okay? I cannot get into the Swedish rate of death,
I looked it
but
up. I
well,
found
all
it.
right. So what is it? All right. So is it 6,000? How many people? 7,000?
5,811.
All right.
And the
Now,
rate of death, their rate of death is 576 per million. US is 565 per million.
and we're okay. And what is Belgium? 1,600 per
I
million?
couldn't find Belgium. I didn't want to, but the last time I looked, Belgium was at like 800 and something.
Yeah. Yeah. Sweden's rate of death is normal for a
Not,
European country.
no, because
It's
when you
not,
look at like
it's
Austria, they've got like their rate is like 100 per million.
okay.
Um,
Listen to me, Rick. Let me finish my point. Sweden's rate of death is higher than Norway's and Denmark's, but it's lower than Belgium's and Italy's. So it's in the middle of European deaths. And it wouldn't have been as high if they had taken better care of their old people. Now, before we stopped, you called me an asshole because I was willing to take 5,000 deaths for a country of 10 million. Now, I'm going to say that you're the asshole. In our show, we devolved to this because we have that rate of death every time there's a flu season. We lost 70,000 people in the United States a couple of years ago during
It
the
was
flu season.
60,000, and it was the worst flu season in more than a decade.
Okay, so
It
10
might have been
years
the worst
before
flu
that,
season since 1968.
when we
We
lost
generally lose
116,000.
in the range of 30,000,
Okay,
maybe.
Rick, my point is that you can't shut down a society for a bad flu season. A
Yeah.
country with 10 million people does not shut down any more than we shut down when we lose 70,000. I read 70,000. So we
But
lost
wrong. It was
70,000 people.
60,000.
Okay, well, I read 70. Now, my point is, we didn't shut the country down during Obama when we had these kinds of flu seasons. So I'm not an asshole. No country shuts down when they have bad flu seasons.
We're at 188,000. One person out of every 300 people aged 65 or older in America is dead now.
Okay. First of all, half of those deaths are in rest homes,
The
and
average number of years of life lost to COVID,
oh,
rest home
don't
death, is
start with
10
me,
years.
Rick. Rick, I'm talking about Sweden. You do not shut down a country with 10 million people because 5,800 people die. I'm not an asshole for saying that. They will
No,
have
you
other
are.
flu seasons. Rick, Rick, what is the percent? 5,000 people in Sweden is like 70,000 people in the US. Okay? And we didn't shut down
So,
then.
58, say 6,000 people in Sweden times 33 is 200,000, which makes sense. We have the same death rate as Sweden, slightly lower. But yeah, it's like 200,000 people in the U.S., 195,000. We have the same death rate as Sweden, and we've lost 100, officially lost 188. If you go off of excess mortality, which is probably a better measure, we've lost 220,000.
Okay. My point is that they'll have another flu season in Sweden, and they may lose another 5,000.
That's flu
And
doesn't kill 5,000 people in a year in
maybe
Sweden.
maybe it'll kill 2,000. But the
A
point
really
is
bad
that
one might. Yeah.
okay, all right. You don't shut down the country for that.
Okay, boss, of what should happen with thousands of people.
No, because Rick, I'm trying to protect our country because people like you that are confused and muddle-headed are going to say you're an asshole and lock down the country every year. That's what you're going to do. You're going to start saying, well, wait a minute. If we're losing 2,000 people in the month of April, then it could be 20,000 next month. We have to lock down the country. I'm telling you that you're not done. You're going to keep locking down the country for the foreseeable future. This is it now. And I don't want your muddle-headed confusion to be the new normal.
Well, I mean, the worst month for Spanish flu was October. We might be in a slight lull right now where we might lose only 4,000 people a week for the next month. And maybe it'll keep going down. Maybe the miracle Trump promised will happen, and it'll keep and then after a while we'll only
All
lose
right.
3,000 a
Where
week.
where is the article you have on hydroxychloroquine? I want to
I
read it.
read a couple, and I'll just tell you what they found.
Well, I want to find it. I want to read it myself.
So just Google largest hydroxychloroquine study, and I'll tell you what they found. They looked at everybody they could find around the world who had a documented history with hydroxychloroquine. And they found 950,000 people who've taken it, and they found no significant cardiac risk. It turns out the study didn't look at whether it was, and I'll talk about another study that did look at effectiveness. But this one didn't look at effectiveness against COVID. It just looked at cardiac risk. And for people taking just hydroxy for less than a month, there was no significant cardiac risk. For people taking hydroxy plus azithromycin, there was the cardiac risk was doubled. So there is some risk of doing hydroxy plus azithromycin. Now, there was another study out of Italy that looked at 3,400 patients and found that hydroxychloroquine reduced in-hospital mortality by 30%.
Okay, Rick, this is the problem I'm having, all right? And I knew this would happen. I knew I'd have to look this up, okay? I knew I couldn't just listen to you. Sorry, I don't want to insult you, because I don't think you're doing this on purpose. I read all the dates of all the studies that came up. When I Googled largest hydroxychloroquine COVID study, about 10 studies came up immediately. I didn't even have to read them. Every single one of them had a date. All of them were the early studies from
No, you need
May
the
and
ones from
April.
August now. You need the articles from August.
Yeah, show me that. Show me that.
I can't. I mean, I can.
How do I find
Want
it?
me to take you here? Hold on. Let me. I
You want to
gotta.
send me a hot link?
No, fucking. I'll tell you. Hold on. I'm walking up to my computer. In the meantime, let me tell you. When I would. No, I can't because Carol's sleeping, and if I keep
All right,
talking.
all right. Well, let me just finish the ones from June. Oh, here's one on in August 11th.
Yes, that's it.
August 11th. This says, all right, let me read it. Director, can we cut this off? Director? Director, can you, I have to read, I have to,
Hey.
all right, let me talk. All right, I just read the studies on hydroxychloroquine. Now, the first thing I want to say to Rick is there are two articles he gave me uh, under August 25th, which is close to today. The first article was published in Lancet Rheumatology, and that is an old study that Lancet retracted. Okay, I know that. I know the first article, the Lancet article, was retracted,
Yeah, I'm not
and
talking about that one.
yeah, this article, hydroxychloroquine and COVID, was
No, I'm
published
talking
in
about the
Lancet.
giant study of cardiac risk is the one
I
we're
understand that. That one was retracted. Okay, and part of the
not the one with 950,000 people in it, not that one.
that yeah that article was retracted by Lancet.
No.
Yes, it was. I'm sorry, but that's the case. The Lancet has retracted their study because they weren't that article was considered flawed. And
Which study? The study of hydroxychloroquine and COVID?
azithromycin. We're looking at the same thing. It's
No, we're talking about
hydroxychloroquine.
this giant retrospective study of
I know,
nearly
I
a
know.
million people.
That was their findings were published in Lancet Rheumatology, and it was retracted.
No,
Okay.
no,
Well,
no.
it was. You don't have to be a child about it. I heard that article was retracted.
No, the
But
article you're talking about was retracted was like a month ago. This one's not. This one's brand fucking new, and it's
okay,
not that article.
okay, listen to me carefully and don't interrupt. I'll try and make it brief. It doesn't matter because hydroxychloroquine is supposed to be used with zinc. Okay, so this article was just trying to find out if there was a risk of heart problems, heart
Yeah,
arrhythmia,
yeah,
if it's used with azithromycin or
yeah.
Z-Pak. Now, first of all, the hydroxychloroquine and azithromycin is never to be used without zinc. Second, the azithromycin is, I believe, just to stop the cytokine storm. So there are other drugs that they can use instead of the azithromycin. In other words, they need a drug to stop people's immune system going crazy.
Yeah. All right, but
And
the
that's
deal
what
is,
kills people.
you're
But your argument that the zinc hydroxychloroquine plus Z-Pak was a failure is not true. And this article doesn't say that it is. It says that
the article that only studies cardiac risk. The second study I showed you out of Italy says that hydroxychloroquine reduces in-hospital mortality by 30%. It makes your
well, then
point.
I agree with you. So the
But
article that the other article is irrelevant, and the one and the other one makes my point. So thank you very
hold on.
much.
So let me make my fucking point, which is you want Trump to get all this credit because he was pushing hydroxychloroquine. There are 17 drugs, at least, currently being studied for having some efficacy against COVID. And they're all in the same range of ranging from no effect to 30% reduction in mortality or length of hospitalization. They're all in that range. Nothing's a magic bullet. Should Trump get some credit for pushing hydroxychloroquine, this one drug out of a bunch of drugs they've found that may work to some extent? I don't know, I guess, but it doesn't make him the savior of everybody.
Yeah,
He said I wouldn't take hydroxychloroquine. I would take, if I end up in the hospital, sick with this shit, I'm going to talk to the doctors. And first off, I'm going to take the shit that they think is going to be most effective in my particular situation. And it could be one of a dozen different fucking drugs. Given the specifics of my situation, the doctors may think that hydroxy plus zinc might be the one that offers me the best chance.
Well, okay, fine. We understand that, Rick. I really, honestly, I really do understand
Yeah,
that.
but you keep saying that I won't take it because it's not a Democrat drug.
Well, the point is that if since it reduces death by 30% according to your study, then it wouldn't be 180,000 deaths. If we'd listened to Trump 4 months ago when he first started talking about it, 5 months ago when Trump first said he was taking it, then we wouldn't have 180,000 deaths. We might have we'd have 30% less.
Because the
We'd have
deal is,
120,000 deaths.
no, not really, because the first slug of deaths, 50,000 people, occurred when we had 8% mortality. Later deaths have been occurring when we've had closer to 2% mortality, which includes people who were given any one of these like dozen drugs that have some
But
effectiveness about it, or people who were put on their stomachs as opposed to their backs, which turns out we've learned all this shit about reducing mortality. So would it have reduced, maybe it would have reduced mortality by 10%, but it wouldn't have.
There's zero way that you can figure this out sitting on your couch. And being a scientific person, you realize that. What I'm telling you is that he quarantined the country and he recommended a drug that turns out works pretty darn well, but it's not a total cure. So
right, it works okay in some
guy.
instances.
And wait, he'd been recommending it for 5 months. I think he started recommending it in April, early April or late March. So this is really unfair, Rick. Now, can we move on to another
It's
subject?
fucking fair because hydroxychloroquine, if it works at all, because studies remain equivocal, only works in certain specific instances, which are not all instances. Now, there's a whole range of new treatments because now we've been dealing with this shit for 7 months, 6, 7 months. And
yeah, we know what you're going to say. We know you're going to say that there are other treatments, but what I'm saying, I understand, but since the man provided you with a fairly good treatment 5 months ago, you can't say that he's incompetent, can you?
No, I can. I can fucking say he's incompetent. We have the highest unemployment since we've had. It's gone down a little.
That's not
We had the
his
highest
fault. That's not
unemployment
his
since
fault.
1940.
I understand that's not his fault.
No,
That's
it. Okay, Lance.
um, all right. So I wanted to address something else. Before we go any further, I'm going to give a nod to one of our dedicated viewers, Tom Underwood. I don't know if he wants his name mentioned, but there, I mentioned it. He sent
Too
me a
late now.
grid. Yeah, he sent me a graph that was released by a congressman, a U.S. congressman, showing that the epidemic has spread the same as it would have if we'd done nothing at all, including masks. So, Tom, as you can see, Rick is very cantankerous tonight. I don't think we have time to explore that.
Well, which
But
congressman? I'm sure it wasn't fucking.
let's
It
see.
wasn't Jason
It's Thomas Massey, Representative Thomas Massey on
from West
Twitter.
Virginia.
I can go to the article.
It doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't matter.
Anyway, the point is that our viewer's argument is that this pandemic is just going the way it's going, and that there's not a lot. It's going the way every other pandemic goes, and that they have these scientific models that show that it would have been doing this almost no matter what we did, which is I tend to believe that, but I'd like to go on to another subject unless you have something to say.
I do have one thing that I just, it feels like that sometimes, but I'm not convinced. But another viewer wrote in, and we discussed it, I thought, last week, but maybe not, that asking if I play chess. And my main problem.
Yeah, you said you don't play chess. I heard that you don't play chess.
The last time I tried playing chess was probably 40 years ago. My main problem in life is lack of mental discipline. And chess, you have to put in a lot of work to get good at chess, and I just didn't want to put in the work, so I'm sorry.
All right. As far as Rick's talking about that the riots are Trump's fault because it's Trump's America, this is amazing to me how the Democrats can send this message out. And I've been hearing Democrats all over the news from every different station and Democrat politicians. They're all saying that the riot is Trump's America.
Well, no, let me clarify. Let me clarify, because there are two competing hashtags on Twitter. One is Trump riots, and the other is Biden riots. So I wouldn't argue that the riots are Trump's fault. I mean, there are certain aspects of them that might be, but they're certainly not fucking Biden's fault. These are not Biden riots. Trying to hang them on him. Biden's not president, and so you have to go a longer route to somehow connect the rioting to fucking Biden.
Yeah, actually, it's pretty easy. The situation is, I'm going to say, that if you do try to blame Trump for these riots, you're basically blaming the victim. I mean, Antifa and Black Lives Matter are communist organizations, anarchist organizations, and they want to bring down the government. So they're having these riots in order to make the government shaky, and so you're blaming the victim. Trump is the victim of these riots, and the goals of the riots that they've spoken of. So that's the first thing.
Hold on.
As far as
one thing,
well, I wanted to address your point.
Hold on one sec. Like Antifa, I don't know from Antifa. I've read a little bit about it. It seems like there are a bunch of earnest people who may consider themselves Antifa, because Antifa is short for anti-fascist. So it's possible to be anti-fascist. and to consider yourself, nobody likes fascism. Um, at the same time, like the most dedicated Antifa people, there seem to be a lot of assholes there. But when it comes to Black Lives Matter, I don't believe that Black Lives Matter people are revolutionaries who want to bring down the government. And when I think of Black Lives Matter, among other people, I think of NBA players and WNBA players who have Black Lives Matter written on on their on their arenas and on their shirts. And these are people who, some of these people make $18 million a year, and they certainly don't want to see the destruction of society.
Okay, well, I didn't realize, I see I have to explain this further. They interviewed two of the leaders of Black Lives Matter, a man and a woman, on two separate occasions, who were behind quite a bit of the movement and its unrest. I don't remember their names, but I do remember them saying that they were trained Marxists and that this was a revolution that they were trying to
All right.
do.
Well, I don't believe that most people who subscribe to Black Lives Matter want a revolution. I think most
I
people
know, I
want to
know
leave
you
their...
don't, Rick. Rick, I'm still talking. I
Okay.
know you don't think that. I know that you think the people in the NBA are not trying to be revolutionaries. That's not my argument. My argument is that these people are trained Marxists in leadership positions of Black Lives Matter, and that's why they're going into the cities and burning them down, because they're trying to create a revolution. That is their stated goal. That's the goal of Marxist revolutionaries in capitalist countries. They try to create insurrection. So I realize that you yourself support Black lives and you're not a revolutionary. So, but my point is, you can't blame Trump for this. Now, you made another point, which I was going to argue about, why I'm blaming it on Biden. But I watched the Democratic convention. I'm sorry to say I watched a hell of a lot of it. And in Biden's amazing speech, I noticed something that very few people noticed. In fact, I don't know anybody that noticed it, so here's a scoop from the Rick versus Lance show. Toward the end of it, he said, Trump is overseeing 4 crises. The pandemic, which is his fault.
I remember that,
the
yeah.
unemployment that is his fault, the depression that is his fault, and climate change. And I realized when I heard him say climate change that someone had gotten to him because he was listing recent crises. And everybody knows that the most recent crisis is the pandemic, the depression, and the riots. It was, I believe someone got to that speech and said, well, we can't mention the riots because no one at the Democrat convention mentioned the riots. They were deliberately avoiding talking about it, which to me is a tacit approval. And in the situation where it was most incumbent on Biden to say these crises are the pandemic, the depression, he should have said the riots, but he didn't. He talked about climate change, which has been around for 25 years. So I know that he avoided talking about the riots because they're hoping, because these rioters are the Democrat army. Those are the shock troops of the Democrats.
Okay, I buy half of this argument because I believe that, that if he didn't mention the riot, well, he'd call them the protests, or maybe anyway, he wouldn't say the riots because that has that can be associated with the Democrats. But
thank you, Rick. You're so fucking honest this time. I love this.
Okay, but let's talk about. I want to talk about one more thing, which is I'm going to try to put this up as a hashtag. None of my hashtags ever go anywhere, but like I'm going to put up hashtag Trump fatigue, where whether it's fair or not, I think, and I think polls reflect this, like neither candidate got much of a bump in their post-convention numbers. historically candidates
Trump
get.
got 5 points.
What's that?
Trump got 5 points, which
Well,
is
it depends
good.
on what poll you look at. Most polls don't have him getting a bump. There was one poll that showed the gap going from 10 points to 6 points, but there are other polls that, like the USC LA Times poll, which was the only one that got it right last time, showed the gap going from 11 points to 13 and a half points. But tomorrow will really, people will have had the weekend to digest shit, and that'll tell us a lot more. But in any case, I think hashtag Trump fatigue, whether it's fair to Trump or not, I think people are overall kind of sick of of every day bringing new stuff. And most polls show a double-digit lead for Biden, and we've only got 64 days until Election Day. And for a lot of people, it's fewer days than that because early voting starts in a lot of places in 2, 3, 4 weeks. So that's a huge gap to overcome.
I can't argue. I mean, maybe he'll lose. The only thing, there are a couple of things I'm worried about if he loses. My country will become communist.
It won't,
But,
because I mean, you're talking about a guy who's been in. You
well,
think?
don't tell me
No,
what I'm worried
he's been in.
about. Let me just tell you what I'm worried about, okay?
All right, go
I'm
ahead.
also I'm worried that my country will become communist, and I'm worried that the lockdowns will be extended indefinitely. That the Democrats seem to enjoy these lockdowns. I mean, literally, I actually have met Democrats that are enjoying the lockdown, and so I think that I don't want to live like this for the rest of my life. I'll move to Israel or somewhere or
Okay.
Australia. Anyway, go ahead, Rick.
Um, so I mean, what I'm looking for, and I've said this before, but not recently, is I just want normal government. The kind of people on Twitter describe it as not having to look at the news every day, just figuring that things are going to cruise along. Um, and because under past administrations, like you didn't have to check in with the country every fucking day to see what the latest shit was. Um, and I think it's the robot girlfriend argument. I think technology is going to transform everything like crazy across the next few decades. And I just want government to fucking sit there and be fucking normal and somewhat supportive of science and technology while everything is transformed technologically, mostly to our benefit. Um, and Biden has been in government, national government. He started so fucking young. The first time he got elected to Congress, he was too young to serve in Congress. He had to have his birthday and then go serve. He's been in Congress national government for 47 years. He's the most normal of 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 administrators. You guys like to argue that he's been taken over by socialists, but I don't buy that. But in any case, I just want fucking normal fucking government. Now you can argue we won't get that under Biden, but we don't have to argue that now. We should wrap it up. I got one more thing to say though, which is you had a small victory in Trump Russia, in that an FBI lawyer is pleading guilty because he pleading guilty to altering a document pertaining to Carter Page and his relationship to the CIA, where the CIA said he was an asset, and then the lawyer said he wasn't much of an asset, and so anyway, but on the other hand, you guys suffered a kind of a defeat in the Senate Republican-led report on the relationship between Trump's people and Russia's people, which showed 140 different contacts between Trump's people and people working for or associated with Russia. And then more stuff's coming out where Rob Rosenstein squelched certain, it's coming out that Rosenstein squelched certain aspects of Mueller's investigation, which stopped Mueller from being able to find stuff about this Trump-Russia relationship, which does seem in this Senate report to have been pretty strong and pretty damning.
Well, I'm glad you brought this up because for 4 years now, I've been trying to convince you that Trump did not collude with Russia. And whenever I've said that, I mean, it's farcical. I mean, you've become hysterical and said, I don't think Trump colluded with Russia. And so last week, you were talking about the Senate report, and I was so emotional that I didn't really think it through. And afterwards, during the week, I thought about it the whole week, and I realized, wait a minute, Rick does believe that Trump colluded with Russia. He's come around to the view that he's been saying he doesn't believe for 4 years. So what is it, Rick? Are you now trying to tell me that Trump colluded with Russia?
Maybe. Maybe I am.
All right. Good night. I'm going to sleep.
Okay, wait. One problem you and I have had for this whole time is there's no, and we don't agree on it, there's no good definition of collusion. Now, I've said Trump was the place where I built if this is World War I, where I built my trench I built it around Trump is being manipulated by Russia. That Trump is a dupe of Russia. So that's where I've lost all my soldiers defending that fucking trench.
All right. Okay, listen. Our director needs to get to sleep, so I'm going to say one thing. The argument that Trump colluded with Russia or whatever, we will deal with next week or when there's more information because it's just too large to deal with right now. I don't think Trump is a Russian dupe. That is my response. But anyway, I have to make a public service announcement.
Okay.
For the past month, I've been telling people that I'm on an NMN trial. NMN, and transresveratrol are two supplements that I've been taking to try to stop aging. And in my civic duty forces me to say that there is a new study that shows that if you've already had cancer or you have it now, you should not take NMN. And the reason is it's both good and bad. NMN rejuvenates your cells and keeps them youthful, but it also rejuvenates cancer cells. It rejuvenates all cells in your body.
To a certain extent, cancer cells are super young, super energetic cells to the point that they kill the rest of you.
Yeah, well, anyway, the point is that I'm going to keep taking it because I have no involvement with cancer whatsoever, and I believe it will keep my cells youthful. But if you have a history of cancer, then you've got to be very careful with NMN. That's all I have to say.
Okay.
And I'm leaving now, okay?
Right. So thank you. You know, if you want to throw money at us, it's lancevsrick@gmail.com is our PayPal address. Thank you for watching, regardless of whether you throw money. And, Director, you want to cut the camera, but Lance, don't hang up?
Okay.